Have you ever wondered if the white picket fence dream was actually a cage designed by your own neighbors? What if the biggest threat to your peace wasn't the big city you escaped, but a smiling woman with a clipboard who thinks she owns your soul? And how would you react when you discover that her obsession with community standards was hiding a scheme to steal houses from people just like you? My name is Ryan Caldwell, and I never set out to burn down the HOA Queen's kingdom. I just wanted tomatoes. The kind that actually taste like something. After 15 years chasing corruption as an investigative journalist in Chicago, dodging bullets both literal and metaphorical, I was done.
Burned out. Where the silence of crickets sounds like heaven. So when the old Miller farmhouse popped up on the market, a creaky but solid place on 3 acres, right on the edge of the shiny new Serenity Oaks development, I jumped. The agent mumbled something about it being a grandfathered parcel, exempt from the HOA music to my ears.
For the first month it was bliss. Garden. Parked my beat-up Ford in the driveway without a care. Then she appeared. President of the Serenity Oaks HOA for 15 glorious tyrannical years. She looked like every suburban mom's nightmare fuel. Perfect blonde bob, pastel cardigan that probably cost more than my truck, and a smile that could curdle milk. She was standing in my flower bed like she owned it, clipboard in hand, scribbling furiously. "Good morning," I called out, coffee in hand, trying to be neighborly. Big mistake. She didn't even look up at first. Commercial vehicles are prohibited from being visible overnight. And that shade of green on your shutters? Not on the approved palette. Serenity Oaks. I laughed. "Ma'am, I'm not in the HOA. My property predates your subdivision. Deeds clear as day." She finally met my eyes. "Mr. Geography doesn't exempt anyone from decency and community values. You will comply, or we will ensure compliance." She spun on her heel and marched off to her white SUV, leaving me there wondering if I just stepped into the Stepford Wives sequel. That's when the letters started. Grass height. Mine was a rebellious 4 inches. Then a fine for the eyesore barn that had been there since the 1940s. I sent back my deed survey and a polite note quoting state law. Her reply: escalation. 3 days later, I came home to a tow truck in my driveway. The driver looked embarrassed. Authorized vehicle. I played the recording of my first conversation and threatened to call the sheriff. As the truck left, I spotted Debbie's SUV down the block, her sunglasses reflecting my defeat. But the real war was psychological. Neighbors who used to wave suddenly crossed the street. Kids were pulled inside when I walked by. Later I learned Debbie had sent a community email calling me a transient with questionable history, who might be a risk to the children. Classic. Avoid lawsuit. Poisonous enough to isolate. I stayed quiet. That's what reporters do best. The absurdities piled up like cheap lawn ornaments. One Tuesday she slapped me with a $250 fine for unauthorized garden tools visible from the street. My garden hose had dared to coil in plain sight. "We can't have that chaos ruining property values," her letter cooed, signed with a heart. I pictured her sipping Chardonnay while typing it, convinced she was saving the neighborhood from my dangerous rubber tubing. Another notice banned my heirloom tomatoes. Wrong variety apparently. Only approved cultivars maintain the Serenity Oaks aesthetic. I chuckled darkly, imagining the HOA board debating tomato genetics like it was national security. The isolation deepened. I did too. Sidewalk nods turned to stares. One mom actually yanked her kid's hand when I waved hello, whispering something about that man. Debbie's masterpiece of fearmongering was working. I sat on my porch most nights, nursing a beer, watching the perfect lawns glow under streetlights while mine grew a defiant inch or two just to spite her. The fines hit $4,000. Still, I didn't snap. Then one humid Thursday, a shadow slipped across my driveway. Arthur Klein, the HOA treasurer, a sweaty, nervous guy who always looked like he was one bad audit from cardiac arrest, emerged from the hedges. He didn't knock. Into my hand by the barn and whispered, "She's planning a lien on your house. Fabricate the debt, file the papers, drain you dry before you can fight." She's done it before. His eyes darted like we were in a spy thriller. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. He swallowed hard. "More. She makes me sign the checks." Inside the envelope, a printout of an LLC called Serenity Legacy Holdings, registered at a P.O. box 3 towns over. That old itch flared, the one that used to expose City Hall crooks. I brewed coffee at midnight and opened my laptop. Public records, tax filings, deed transfers. The pattern hit like a freight train. Over 10 years, 12 homes in Serenity Oaks foreclosed by the HOA for unpaid fines. Minor stuff, wrong mailbox color, a visible Christmas light in February, ballooned into thousands. Every single property auction cheap too. Serenity Legacy Holdings. Buried under shells, but the beneficiary trust traced straight to Deborah M. Hargrove. I printed the stack, hands steady but mind racing. Debbie wasn't just a power-tripping Karen enforcing decency. She was running a slow-motion real estate heist. Target the vulnerable, widows, jobless folks, outsiders like me. Bury them in violations, foreclose, flip for profit. My laugh came out bitter and sharp in the dark kitchen. Here she was, preaching community values while picking pockets with a smile. The hypocrisy was so thick you could spread it on toast. I didn't rush to the cops. She had the counsel in her pastel pocket. I needed her to overreach. So I stopped answering letters. Parked my truck square on the lawn like a middle finger made of steel. The bait was set. Cameras went up next, hidden GoPros in the birdhouse, a DSLR in the barn window, phone always ready. I leaned back on the porch, sipping coffee, and whispered to the empty yard. "Come and get it, Debbie." Saturday hit like a bad hangover. Her cavalcade rolled in. Debbie didn't come alone. Locksmith in tow, 2 rent-a-cops who looked like they flunked police academy twice, and that clipboard clutched like a scepter. She marched up the drive, pastel armor gleaming, voice projecting for the neighbors peeking through blinds. "Mister, to your refusal to honor community debts, we are taking possession to satisfy the lien. You have 10 minutes to vacate before security removes you." I stepped out calm, coffee mug in hand, heart hammering but voice steady as steel. "Debbie, you know damn well you have zero authority here. This isn't HOA land." Her face twisted, that polite mask cracking like cheap foundation. "I am the authority," she shrieked, the words echoing off manicured lawns. "We are seizing this property by force if necessary. Drill the door." The locksmith hesitated, but she snapped her fingers like a queen ordering executions. The drill whined to life against my front door. Destruction of property. Perfect. I pulled out my phone, held it high. Live. I wasn't streaming yet, but the bluff landed. She lunged, claws out, grabbing for the phone while screaming about privacy violations. The guards froze. One muttered, "This ain't standard eviction." But Debbie was gone, frenzy mode. "Get him off my property," she howled. "Your property?" I stepped back, voice low and cutting. "Like the Johnson place you foreclosed last year? Or Widow Miller's? Does Serenity Legacy Holdings own this one too, Debbie? I know the trust. I know the shell companies. Preaching about bird feeders and grass shades." The color drained from her face faster than a cheap wine spill. That Botox smile vanished. Small. A terrified crook realizing the vault just slammed shut. "How?" she whispered, hand frozen midair. "I know everything," I said, letting the words hang like a noose. "Arthur's been talking to the DA since yesterday. And this drill on my door? It's all recorded." Smile for the jury. She scrambled back, barking at the crew to retreat, but the damage was nuclear. I hit upload the second her taillights vanished. Titled it HOA President Tries Illegal Seizure on Exempt Home. Caught on camera. By morning, 50,000 views. Local news vans parked on my lawn by noon. The emergency town hall Tuesday was pure cinema. The villain still thinking she could spin it. The community center packed wall to wall. Debbie at the podium, gavels banging, claiming the video was edited. And I was the provocateur threatening property values. Then Arthur stood, shaking like a leaf but voice cracking through. It's true. She buried us in fines till we broke. I have the ledgers. The room exploded. 10 years of bottled fear unleashed. Stories of trashcan fines, no wars, lives ruined over lawn height. Debbie tried to shout order but no one listened. She locked eyes with me in the back. I just raised my coffee in a mock toast. Cops arrived 10 minutes later. As she shielded her face with that cursed clipboard. As they let her past, she hissed, "You ruined this community." I leaned in close. "No, Debbie. People who actually live here." The fallout was glorious. Built without foreclosure power. Serenity legacy seized, assets frozen, hundreds of thousands returned to the families she'd scammed. Debbie pled guilty to wire fraud and grand larceny. 5 years minimum security, lifetime ban from any financial role. As for me, shutters painted whatever damn color I wanted. Neighbors wave now, real waves, not the fearful kind. Block parties feature visible hoses and rogue tomatoes. No one measures grass anymore. Sometimes at night I sit on the porch, staring at her empty house down the street, and wonder about power. How a little clipboard turns neighbors into tyrants. How silence lets it fester. I just wanted tomatoes. But peace isn't free, you defend the perimeter or lose it. Looking back, exposing her felt right, but it cost her everything. Some say she deserved it. Others whisper I went too far. The real lesson? Power corrupts the polite ones fastest, and silence is complicity. Always check your deed twice, and when a Karen declares war on your home, record every second. What would you have done in my shoes?